Hello, 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 hello. You can see everything in the background. People's birthday presents. There's someone here. Your birthday present is one of those ones there that hasn't been wrapped. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have an hour to talk. And why am I doing this? First of all, my name is Olamide Balogun, and I think that everybody here knows me. Balogun, Coach Olamide to you for the purposes of what we're trying to do. Why are we doing this? I got certified almost 10 years ago and as a health and wellness coach. And I started at that time helping people to adjust their weight downwards. Now, I never say lose weight because whenever we lose something, we're always looking for how we will gain it back, but to adjust their weight downwards. What I've realized, so many people come to me because, they want to adjust their weight downwards, but they're actually unwell. Being overweight is an indication that there is some unwellness there, because when we weigh more than what we are supposed to weigh, it is not the natural state. And even though we're walking around, we're still breathing, and we're still, doing seemingly what everybody else is doing, we're doing it with a lot of strain on our organs. Many people have been unwell for so long, they don't even know what it is to be well. One of my clients, I said to her, stop eating rice. And she came back about 10 days later to say she's been on medication, I don't know whether it was acid reflux or something, for 10 years. And that since she stopped eating rice, she had not felt unwell or had to go on that medication. But can you imagine if you've been with something for 10 years? Some people who are going to listen to this or who are on right now have been taking medication for 15, 20 years. People say as you age, and the truth is that once you are born, you start to age, that as you age, there's some things you should expect. But the truth is that if you know what to do, you do not have to have those things they tell you to expect. And so I've had a bee in my bonnet about people being well. I see people and I see them struggling. And they're like, oh, I'm fine. They're eating the things they shouldn't eat. They're thinking in a way they shouldn't be thinking. But they say, oh, I'm fine. I mean, people even look at me and say, I don't want to be like you. It's okay. I can take it. But just as an aside, talking about how someone looks is actually not what anybody should be doing unless you have been given the permission, because you don't know what that comment can do to somebody. So without much ado, because I really need to shut this down in an hour, today we're going to be looking at the 5 pillars of wellness. Most of us feel, and the world actually, propagates this, that once you are eating right and you're exercising, you are fine. But that is actually not the case. I've turned this talk beyond the gym, because there are actually 5 pillars which can be further divided, of wellness. What you eat and how you exercise is just one of them. So I'm going to do a quick rundown so that we can begin to plug ourselves into where we ought to be. We're going to be, I'm going to have a few of these talks, I think once a week for the next, 5 weeks or so. And it'll be great for you to stick around. Now, for those who don't particularly know me, I've never really been big, I'm quite a small person. But having said that, when I remember in my first year in university, when I met my husband, I was 70 kg, which is actually heavy for my height. But way back in those days, we didn't weigh ourselves, everybody just ate well and, nobody weighed themselves, okay? And then I went off to do a second degree, and I met with exercise there. I still wasn't eating right, but I was exercising every single day. 2 years later, by the time I was getting married, I was 49 kg, but I was still not eating right, but I was exercising every day. And then as, time progressed with a bit more information, thank God for the internet, I started realizing that my eating has to correlate with the exercise, And because one was young then, you did a little bit of something and everything fell off. But how many of us know that once you pass the age of 35, what you did when you were 24 doesn't work, doesn't seem to work anymore. Fast forward in my 40s, I had a baby. Aha. And that was 100 kg. I was still saying, oh, I was 70 and thinking that was a lot. I was 100 kg. And when the baby popped out, I think I settled at 96. And I looked at myself and thought, what am I going to do? And I struggled and struggled and struggled. And I made it to like maybe 80, I went to see somebody who said, oh, I can help you adjust your weight, but nothing happened. And so I was really struggling until I found the master key. And it was when I found the master key that I thought, there are a lot of people like me who think they're doing the right thing, who desperately want to adjust their weight downwards, even if it is for cosmetic and vanity reasons, but who just have no idea how to do it. And so I went to get a health and wellness certification. And by the time I had finished, the things that I believe God showed me what to do, I then understood why. And I know that one of the reasons I didn't lose weight, I didn't adjust my weight initially, was because I'm one of these people who, I need to know why you're telling me to do this. I'm not just going to do it. Now, this is different from my son. When he wanted to adjust his weight, I was trying to explain to him what was going on. And he said, please don't explain anything. Just tell me, what should I do? What shouldn't I do? And I will do it. And he did. And he just adjusted his weight, And it was from there that I said, this is my life mission. But I've been so busy doing so many other things that I've not taken it seriously. Yes, I have challenges. I have one-on-one client and I charge money. And I'm going to be, asking you to come and join either the challenge or come and be one of my one-on-one clients. But beyond that, I'm ready to even do this for free. Because what I always say is that if you have anybody who is going to be sad if anything happens to you, you owe it to them to know how to look after yourself. So needless to say, I got the master key, used it, it worked until I had a bereavement. I had a bereavement about 3 years ago. And I found myself, I've never been big as 100 kg or even 80, even 70 or even 65, okay? But I found out that I then put on 2 or 3 kg. And I'm going to be telling you why that is relevant as we go ahead. And, I now thought, okay, let me use this time. I mean, over the last few years, I experiment on myself anyway, because I'm not going to tell you to do something I've never done. Even though I believe in something called bio-individuality, which basically means one man's meat is another man's poison. But having said that, whether it is your meat or your poison, it can be, it can be beneficial for you. Okay, and I'll be explaining further on that. So today we're going to start from the beginning and say, what exactly is wellness? It is not being slim. There are a lot of slim people who are very unwell. Even though the weight doesn't help, because then, besides being unwell, you then have to lug this weight around with you. So it's divided, I've divided it into 5. The physical, the mental, the emotional, the social, and spiritual health. Okay, I'll say that again. Physical, mental, emotional, social, and spiritual. And I'll run through very quickly. We've already been here for 9 minutes. If you have a question, put it in the chat, you can send it to me directly and we will try and tackle some of the questions at the end. Or you may want to ask it yourself. Okay. So physical health is what we all know about, nutrition, exercise, sleep, our bodily functions. I mean, if you can't pee, there's a problem. If you can't poop, there's a problem. So, and those are the physical things. Those are pretty, they're easy to recognize and easy to, maybe not easy, don't let me say easy, but at least if you recognize it, you can deal with it. Nutrition, you can't, as you age, you need less food. You cannot continue to eat the way you used to eat. Now, there are people here who will say, I'm even eating much less, and yet I can't shift the weight. Yes, that is also a thing, because especially for the women, menopause is real. I remember I was speaking with a young doctor. We were giving a talk in the same place, and I was saying, look, middle age spread. And she came up and she said, there's nothing like middle age spread. And I smiled and I said, sister, I want to know you in 15 years. In 15 years, if you still look, then there is nothing like middle age spread. So there is something called middle age spread, and it affects both men and women. So what you eat is very important. You cannot be having 3 meals a day, okay? You know how they say the breakfast is the most important meal of the day. It has actually never been backed by science. It was a Kellogg's advert because they sell breakfast cereals. So they made it a tagline that has stuck, that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, okay? Okay, when we wake up, we have something called cortisol. Cortisol is what wakes us up. It's a hormone, okay? And it's a form of energy. Now, if you eat on top of that, and then you are not expending the energy, you are going to put on weight. Your weight is going to be adjusted upwards, okay? What makes us put on weight is a hormone called insulin. And insulin is something that is secreted whenever we eat. And it is called the fat-producing and fat-storing hormone. So if you want to adjust your weight downward, the first thing you must do is to limit the amount of insulin that is in your system. The less you eat, the less insulin you have, okay? That's just, I don't want to delve in because we're going to, over the next few weeks, really delve to these things. Anything you eat will make you secrete insulin. Sometimes what you eat can make it secreted really quickly or slowly. But whatever you eat, the only thing you eat that does not secrete insulin is fat. And nobody's going to sit down and eat butter or eat, oil, okay? So what you eat is very important. Let us try to eat what, food in the form in which it was grown. Did you know that Pringles is not potato chips? Pringles is some liquid that they've put together with all kinds of chemicals, and then they put it in something. I don't know whether they fry it or they bake, it comes out as crisp. We've been deluded thinking it's potato chips. It's okay. So anything that is not in the form in which it was grown is not good for you. It means it has been processed. So if you want to buy meat, I'm vegan, but I will talk about meat, okay? If you want to buy meat, don't buy the processed meat from the stores. Try and get it fresh, because the more processed it is, the more chemicals have been added. Already, a chicken has chemical added, even if it is running around, because they inject them with all kinds of antibiotics. That is the story for another day. But just saying that whatever you are going to eat, don't eat throughout the day. Don't eat 6 times a day. Eat once or twice, okay? And when you've eaten. Don't graze throughout the day. Say, no, let me have some mango. Let me have some nuts. Let me have some plantain chips. No, okay? Those things will keep insulin in your system. Exercise is important. Let me tell you, nobody should tell him all, but you may get to hear. The other day, my husband, he has a personal trainer. Personal trainer came working like crazy for 1 hour. And then my husband sat on the same spot from morning till night. He had lunch there, he had dinner there, he took his phone calls there. He did not get up. Now, let me tell you, there's no point in going to the gym or having a personal trainer if you're not going to keep moving. It's better not to have those things, but to keep moving. So because of who we are and where we come from, a lot of times we don't move very much. We will call somebody to get the remote. We will call somebody to bring the food. We will call somebody to do this or that. I was listening to one of my auntie's granddaughters talking about her 80th birthday. And she was that my grandma, you can't sweep her house for her. You can't wash her dishes for her. She always got up to do stuff herself. That is why she was 90. She died in her 90s. So if you want to keep alive, keep drawing oil, you need to get up and do things. You want to get something from downstairs, go and do it yourself. You want to put something away, go and do it yourself. So exercise is important. I'm going to be telling you the importance of exercise as we go along. But the truth about it is that, sorry, it's telling me my internet is unstable. I hope you're all still here. Please give me a thumbs up if you can still hear me, okay? Exercise, what it does, it doesn't make you lose weight, but it repackages and adjusts you, which is why some people have been exercising forever and they still weigh the same thing, okay? So it's, how you can pack a suitcase and you can zip it up, it's 20 kg. And you can pack the same 20 kg, somebody else can pack it and it doesn't zip up because it's been so untidily packed. So nutrition, exercise. But guess what is also really important? And this is one of my own issues. If you don't sleep, forget it. You cannot exercise so much, and have any impact on your body if you are not sleeping. If you want, don't eat from now till kingdom come. If you are not sleeping, you can forget it. It's game over. So sleep is more, well, don't let me say it's more important than what you're eating, but they all go hand in hand. And which is what we're talking about today, that everything has to be on an even keel. If not, right, it doesn't work. You can't be sleeping well, eating rubbish, never exercising, and you'll be okay. You cannot be, exercising well, eating well and not sleeping, and you'll be okay. You cannot be eating well, sleeping, not exercising, and be okay. Just as an aside, strength training is very important as you get older. And that's why you will hear that, somebody fell, broke a leg. In fact, some people don't even have to fall. They just trip and they broke a leg because our bones, the density reduces. And so exercise needs to, we need exercise to strengthen our muscles and to strengthen us. So when we are losing weight, it's not because you want to look hot at age 75, even though that's not bad. It's for your life. It's for you to be able to enjoy life. When it comes to nutrition, sometimes, when I say, people shouldn't be eating this, they say, Joe, something is going to kill somebody. But the terrible thing is that sometimes it doesn't lead to death. It just leads to a compromised existence, a point of existing if you cannot be in the pink of health, okay? So you cannot out-exercise bad nutrition or lack of sleep. We're going to be talking about that later. Then we have mental, okay? And my eye is on the clock. Mental, right? Mental health. This is something that has become popular, but it's always been there. But we didn't, especially we Africans. It's like, Jojo, sort yourself out. What are you talking about? Come on, get on your bike and behave. But we realize more and more that it's more than that. So if your mental health is compromised, and what is mental health? Your emotional resilience. I was listening to Chris Rock. He's a comedian for those who don't know him. And he was saying he took his children to a very expensive school. And on day one, the principal said, we have zero tolerance for bullying. And he said, if these children are not bullied, they're not going to build emotional resilience. Okay? Now, I don't particularly agree with him, but it's a lot of the life. We don't need anything to stress us. We don't want anything to do. But you see, it's like not having muscles. Don't have muscles in your body. Any wind is going to blow you over and break all your bones. So we have to allow ourselves some degree of building resilience. Now, I'm not saying suffering. I have a daughter who lives abroad who says it's like Nigerians like to suffer and they like to get a badge of suffering. I suffer more than you. It's not that, but we have to build resilience. And those of us bringing up the generation, we can't pander to their every whim and caprice. We need to be firm with them for their own good. But it's emotional resilience, you know, how do we manage stress? Do we fall over once there's any bit of stressful situation? Let me tell you, it's not only bad things that can stress you. I remember when my children were getting it, I was completely stressed to the point that, you know, I was in pain, physical pain, and I was having to stand there and smile. Well, what caused it? It was stress, because I was like, is this ready? Is this going to happen? Is this whatever? Is that, you know? So it's not only a job that stresses you out, even the things can stress you out. It's important. And I'll tell you what happens with stress. Okay, what happens with stress is that we secrete the cortisol that I was saying wakes us up. But then you secrete it in huge amounts because you're stressed out. And this is the body's mechanism to keep us out of danger. And so when you get stressed out, your body secretes a lot of cortisol. Now, if you don't expend that cortisol, it's the form of energy. You're supposed to run a marathon because you've got cortisol in your system. But what happens is that we secrete cortisol. Do you remember last week? Was it last week or 2 weeks ago that there was traffic on the road? People were on the road for at least 8 hours, 12 hours. A lot of people would have secreted major cortisol. Then you finally get home, have a shower, you eat, but the cortisol is there, thinking, what just happened? You mean she's not being killed? And because it's a form of energy, it turns to fat. But cortisol fat doesn't get stored in your fat cells. It gets stored in your stomach because it says, okay, this person must be in danger. So let us go and cover the vital organs. And so you have fat covering the liver, the heart, and vital organs in your belly. And so if you have a big belly, it's not even necessarily the food you're eating. It's the fact that you're stressed out. Okay, so mental, the mental pillar, mental wellness. It talks to emotional resilience. It talks to stress management. It talks to our mindset. You know what you cannot change. Don't. Please, can you mute? Can you mute, please? Okay, thank you. Right? What you cannot change. So don't be like, oh, wow, you know, this thing is happening. This thing is happening. Begin your change in your sphere of influence and don't let what is so far away from you. Change your mindset as to what it is you can do, what you can't do. Okay? Some people sit on social media from morning till night. Have you seen that thing on social media where there's a rotten apple, but the other side, it looks beautiful, and that's the side that's turned to the camera? The truth is that there are a lot of people we see on social media who are a mess. They are a wreck, but they're right there saying, oh, my life is fantastic. My life is this. There is nothing more distressing than watching social media and thinking, oh, my life sucks. You know, oh, there's this new film. I don't watch them, but it keeps popping up on my feed about some guy who loves some girl and who, you know, bought the building where she was working so that he could come and visit her anytime, you know, who life isn't like that. Real life is not like that. The people who, you know, are living like that, they're losing on some other side. So, you know, we have to be able to adjust our minds, you know, and the truth is that I've told you about the link between anxiety and your body. What then happens is that when the fat settles on the vital organs, therein starts chronic ailment, hypertension, diabetes 2. You start to take medication. And you know, all these things, the medication is not to heal. It is to manage it until the person dies at age 90, whatever. Besides the expense of the medication, it's so funny, you know, in America, sometimes they say, oh, this medication, it can cause nausea, it can cause this, it can cause death, but take it, sha. And I'm thinking, you know, so too much medication, okay? So, you know, we have to learn, and we're going to be learning, how do I manage myself? How do I manage my mental state? Because now we know that it is a real challenge. It's a real issue. I have been in situations where I just even don't want to get out of bed. I just want to stay in bed. And sometimes I do. For 2 days, I'm just in bed. I'm eating, so I'm watching, I don't know, whatever it is there is to watch. Okay? So let's continue. I'm looking at because we have to finish in an hour, right? So emotional wellness speaks to being self-aware, right? It speaks to healthy relationships. There's some of us who have friends who talk down at us, but they're still our friends. Why? There's some of us who, we don't even have friends. That's another issue. Or you have that family member that it's like, oh, this person is my sister, is my brother. The person isn't very nice to you, and you keep saying, oh, I have to be there. Okay, work, business. I remember once, I keep telling this story, so you may have heard it. I went to see my mother-in-law way back in the day when she was still alive, and I just wasn't feeling myself. And she looked at me, she said, are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm okay. She said, Happy you don't have money. And I'm like, I looked at her, she said, because if I don't have money, I'm sad. So your finances, okay, where you work. Some people work in a completely toxic environment, but you just feel that I can't leave this place because I've got to feed my family. I've got to put food on the table. But the truth about it is that the longer you stay in that place, your spirit is being killed. And at the end of the day, you are not going to even be able to be useful to anybody because your family members, yes, it's great, the money you're bringing in, but that's not the only reason they want you. Sometimes taking a lesser paying job, right, and keeping your sanity, it works, okay? One thing I put here under emotional is boundaries, setting boundaries. We feel that we have to speak to everybody all the time and all of that. There are times when you should be saying no. There are times when we should say, okay, I'm not going to go to this thing. I'm not going to do this thing. I'm not going to be at that place. Some of my own boundary, tell you, is when they say they bought their Asher 1 year ago. Then they come and say, wear cockroach pink with the brown, right? They've bought their own clothes and all of that. And then you out on the stress thing of, look, I just turn up in whatever I have, okay? Not everybody, because actually the Asoebi looks very nice. It's just that, sometimes you're stressing yourself over what is not. A party of 2 hours, you go and buy fabric, you go and sew it, with all the attending issues, okay? Suppressing our emotions isn't very helpful for us. And sometimes, the younger generation, they always say, oh, we are what do they call us now? Oh my goodness, I can't remember the word they use. Something about, oh my goodness, but I can't remember the word, but
obligation.
Obligation. Is that my dog picking? Yes. Obligation generation. Okay. They don't feel any obligation. They will learn that there are some things you have to be obligated, but then you must set some boundaries. It's not every single thing that, you have to be there in the uniform that was called and all of that. So there's a difference between joy and fulfillment. Some of us haven't found out what is that thing I'm supposed to be. What is the thing I'm supposed to be doing? What is that thing I'm supposed to be doing? Because when you're doing what it is, somebody sent me today when I sent something about ribs, we're meeting at 9, and then I said, somebody said, La me day. But you know what? I'm comfortable doing this. There's some, I should sort out a pile of papers into different, I'll be crying. Or if you tell me somebody, there's some things that will make me cry. Okay. So each person needs to know, what gives me fulfillment? Because fulfillment is what is important. Happiness is very transient. Happiness is transient. In this car, when they first buy a new car in this house, my husband, you can't even sit in it. After a few weeks, you can eat chocolate ice cream in it and he won't have a coronary. But so happiness is transient. Something is happening, I'm happy about it. But then after a while, It becomes something. A question I have here is, when last did you cry? Really have a good cry? Did you laugh, to the point that you wanted to wet yourself? Those are the things that help us, okay, emotionally. Sometimes we're all very scared and we are all very proper and we're all, the Greek call it catharsis. That's why they have Greek drama, where somebody's stabbed and somebody dies and you're crying and then you're laughing and then you don't really know what you're doing. You leave the place feeling, oh, I feel so much better, So this stoicism of, oh, I mustn't cry, I mustn't do this, I mustn't do that. No, 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 no. It is part of what keeps you well. So emotional is another thing. Social health is so important. Community. Unfortunately, I went to see someone yesterday who lost a child, but there was community around her. I'm not saying that makes everything, but she had her friends there who were taking her food, who were speaking softly to her, who sometimes were making her laugh. Community is so important. I'm not talking of just when there's a death in the family, but just generally, I haven't watched it, but I'm sure you've heard of this film called Adolescence. And it's about a 13-year-old murders, maybe a 13-year-old girl. I'm not sure what it is, And the people who put it together said they put it together in such a way to say that adage, it takes a village. It's not just an adage. It's true, It takes a village. Who are my friends? Who are the people I get in touch with when there is a challenge? Who are the people I can go and hang out? I keep telling this story and you've heard it and I'm going to say it again. I had a really close friend, well, a classmate, I went to her house that day. I was probably feeling low. This was it. But I had to be in her house because I had to pick up my children who had gone to a party that I didn't want to be at. And when I got to her house, of course, she wanted to entertain me. She wanted to chat and said, I beg, I don't want to talk. I just want to lie on your couch. And herself and her husband in their own home, I kept them captive. So she sat with me there in the sitting room, but we didn't say anything. Maybe we were watching CNN or whatever. So you must have community around you where you can just say, I don't want to talk. Or you can say, I want to talk, I just need you to listen. And of course, you are ready also to listen. Okay? Social health is so important. We're becoming, back in the day, people lived in compounds where everybody knew everybody else. Somebody is looking out for the children. Somebody is picking another child up. These days, everybody has their own house with their own house key. You go in, you don't talk to anybody except you go on social media. So social health actually keeps us healthy. The fact that we're living in a community, connection and a sense of belonging, I'll tell you an example that not so with some of my close friends. I was away in the UK for quite a few years. When I was going to come back, I was filled with trepidation, thinking, oh my goodness, yes, I have my friends, but what are they doing in Lagos these days? Before I left, I was quite popular speaking here, doing this, but I've come back, nobody knows much about me. I don't even know when people go out, I don't want to wear a gele. Can I go? I didn't know the social norms and the things to do. Okay? Now, I came back and I had to weather it. I'm still weathering it because I still, clubs open that I don't know about. I never joined them. People are doing things. I don't know those people. I don't whatever. And so what I'm saying is that, you have to have a community that will round you and say, hey, come, let me hold you by the hand. This is what we're doing now. This is where we go. I remember when I first got to Unilag way back, when I first got in, I was doing and saying so many things that I had cousins and older friends. Yeah, we don't do that here. I'd see everybody. I go, hi, hello, how are you? And they held me to one side and said, we don't do that here. Now that's good to know. I mean, I don't quite agree. We can't say hello, hi. But, it just helped me from getting into the wrong hands, maybe beginning to mix with the people I shouldn't really mix with, because even the Bible says that, what has light got to do with darkness? So you need to look at your community again. You need to look and say, do I have a sense of belonging? Who are my real friends? If I really had an emergency, who would I call in the middle of the night? What would I say? the time I had that bereavement, when things started happening, there were 2 or 3, platforms I messaged and I said, this is what is happening. There was a time my husband was deathly ill. I wasn't praying myself, but 1 or 2 or 3 platforms, I just said, look, this is what is happening. And I retreated and they carried me, So loneliness is toxic. Let me tell you something that research has shown, and my eye is on the time. What research has shown is that addiction thrives in loneliness. So when we see an addict, I'm like, oh, this one is an addict. That person got into that thing because they're lonely. If they had community, okay, especially the right community, somebody would have said, that's not a good habit. Why are you doing that? And somebody will ask next day, are you still doing that? Do you need help? How can we help you? If you look at it, all these, some people, AA, and so on. Well, how does it thrive? How does it succeed? They have meetings together, but they also have some who you can call when you're feeling the urge. Loneliness is actually really toxic. Some people will say, Joe, I don't want to, I can't stand all the crowd and all of that. You don't need a crowd. You just need a few people who have your back and you have theirs. Okay? Now, finally, okay, I put here, how do you build deeper friendships in this digital world? You know how we're all on WhatsApp, we're all talking on WhatsApp, but we've not actually spoken word for word with the people we're chatting with. You have to make that extra effort. Send me something on WhatsApp is not enough. Let's talk. Let's pick a phone and talk. Don't let your friend feel like, oh, she's just alone, struggling out there. It takes a village. I saw a meme on social media, the same social media, and one lady said, I hear it takes a village. Please, how does the village come? Where do we call them? What bell do we ring? Because take a village. What village do you belong to? What are you giving into the village? Hallelujah. And then we come to spiritual health. And this is, for me, are you a Christian or not? But what's important is, do you believe in a higher power? Because if you think that everything you're doing here on earth is done by yourself, you're going to burn out. Because it's not. Especially in Nigeria, where you're trying to do something and everybody seems to have gone to a meeting, they didn't invite you to say, we must frustrate her. And everything is frustrating. But then now you're acting like, why are you surprised that that's the thing that has happened? Spiritual health, without it, all the other pillars fall to the ground. All the other pillars fall to the ground. Okay? You believe in? How do you believe in? What time do you commit to what you believe in? Because let me tell you, being in a community, eating right and all those things is not what keeps you happy, joyful, and well at the end of the day, okay? It's your relationship to God. If you don't have a relationship with God, I mean, many people say, oh, I'm a Christian, I'm a this, I'm a that. But how time do you commit to Christ when you say you're a Christian? Sunday is not enough. 1.5 hour service is not enough, which is why they say going to church, doesn't hack it. Okay? So spiritual health is enough. A time to be calm, a time to be peaceful, a time to to speak to God and hear what he's saying. A lot of times we're speaking volumes to God and we're not giving him that chance to speak to us. So I don't know what it is you thought I'd be saying today, but it's important to know that the totality of your life is what can keep you well and keep you healthy. The good news that wherever you are today, you can come into divine health and complete well. There's nowhere, it doesn't matter how many years you have been living badly. It doesn't matter what you are eating that is not good. There is a solution. You can actually do well. Now, you can struggle and stress and find your way, like I did. I'm sure people heard the story of when I went on Oxford Street and they said they would wrap me in cellophane, hook me to a machine, and then I will lose weight. I did it. It didn't work. The times when they say, eat this. In fact, social media is the craziest. One person is saying, drink coffee. The other one is saying, don't drink coffee. One person is saying, drink tea. The other one is saying, you don't even know who to believe. Okay? Which is why I got certified. If you need help, ask me and I will help you. Of course, for a little fee. We have different, we have monthly, everybody come package, right? That is at a cost. We have the one-on-one where you have me full attention for 6 months, and then we schedule for another 6 months if you need it. Okay, we have the package where I'm going to be 50, I'm going to be 60, I'm going to be 70. I don't really believe in that because for me, everything must become a lifestyle, right? But we can even help you to just come to look amazing for that day. And then we'll hold you by the throat and we won't let you go until you make it a lifestyle, okay? So, any questions? We have 20 minutes and I've said a lot of things. I hope that you will be able to attend every week for the next 5 or 6 weeks, just for 1 hour, where we're going to then break things down. But if you don't take anything away today, audit your, look at your pillars and say to yourself, am I okay? Am I doing well? Where do I need to adjust myself? Where do I need to take away from and where do I need to add to? Just a few things before we go. Any questions? If you have any questions, please, you either put up hand or you send a message. Any questions? Okay. I was just going to leave you with a few things. When it comes to sleeping, make sure you sleep. Prepare yourself to sleep. Try not to live in room where you do everything else. Let your room be your room that you're going to go into and sleep. If you can, let the room be cold, if you can, because you sleep better when the environment is cooler than your body temperature. It's not when you are hot and bothered, okay? Sometimes they say, well, they've been saying for years, you must sleep 8 hours. These days, they're finding out that some people actually thrive on less. So if you want to know how long you should be sleeping, try and sleep a week or two without an alarm, if you can, and see how long you just sleep by yourself. Okay, that's sleep. Food, I'd say to you, begin to infuse your water. Some people say, oh, when they drink too much, always in the loo peeing. That is because your body is not absorbing.
Olamide, we can't hear you anymore.
I think she got dropped off or something. Okay, she's there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
I'm back. Can you see me? I'm
Yes,
back.
See you.
So can we see you?
Yes, we can.
You've gone off again. Oh.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
I changed my I don't know, the location not location like that. These are some of the challenges, but we take them as they come. I don't know if people have been putting anything.
You were talking about taking a lot of water and ending up going to the loo most of the time, and you were trying to explain why that happens.
Yes, because your body is not absorbing the water. So infuse your water, okay? Infuse your water. Just a few things. Try and change the oil you are using. If you are using vegetable oil, please don't use it. And that's why I always say don't eat too much at parties, because they're not using the best oil to cook. They've got to make their profit. But in your own home, stop using vegetable oil, stop using canola oil, stop using soya oil, okay? Don't eat 3 meals a day. Eat once or twice, okay? And no snacking, right? No snacking, right? These are just a few tips. Someone here says that she wants to give a testimonial. Please do. You have 3 minutes, and then I'll take any questions, and then I'll give maybe 1 or 2 other tips and take any questions.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, where are you? So that I can.
Sorry, I'm not the most presentable right now. Good
Okay.
evening. So I wanted to give my testimonial. I joined your program in July. I think I did 3 months with you.
Please put up your hand. I just need to see you so that I can, even if we're not seeing your face, let them not think it's some recording somewhere and I'm just trying to be funny. If you just put up your hand.
Okay. So when I joined, I started the year, I was 74 kg. By the time I tried to lose weight, I think I lost just 2 kg in 6 months till I joined in July. When I joined you in July, I remember that when we started, you told me, because I work out 5-6 times a week and the weight was not shifting. I remember that when I joined, you told me stop exercising. I said, lie. I almost fought with you, Auntie. I remember. I was like, I cannot stop exercising. This is my life. It's my mental, recess moments and all that. You told me, let your body rest. If after 2 weeks it doesn't work, come back. After 2 weeks, I'd lost the same 2 kg I'd been struggling to lose for almost 6 months. And I was like, wow. Initially it was a struggle because I was like, oh my goodness, how do I want to remember everything that you told us? And like you always say, it's mind over matter. I made up my mind that I needed to do this. I was at a point where I was done. I was just done with being overweight. I was done. I'm 5 foot tall. I was 74 kg. My ideal weight should be 50 or thereabouts. I can tell you today, right now, I'm 60 kg, which was the target. I have to report myself. I went to 57 kg. I went on holiday. I just came back and I'm 60 kg again. And I'm like, no way. And immediately I got on my scale. It's a mental reset. I knew I had to start my Monday water fast. I knew I had to start watching what I was eating. I had to keep to time the things I was eating. It has transformed my life. Everybody sees me. I know there are lots of people here right now who would tell you that I'm not lying. They know me personally. And when they saw me, they're still like, hey, Shola, what happened to you? It's too much. It's too much. And I'm like, it's not too much. I'm not even there yet. I'm still going to 55 kg, but I'm just taking my time. So anybody who here, if you're struggling, and it's not just weight loss, it's everything combined. Like she talked about sleep, she talked about your mental state, your emotional state, everything changes. It's a lifestyle. I can tell you my life has not been the same since July 2024. Thank you very much.
Wow, fantastic. Well done. Well done. Because those numbers are not they're not puff. And I remember my biggest fight with a lot of people is mind. They're like, I'm used to doing this, and I almost want to say and see where it has gotten you. Come and let me change your mindset. Yes, thank you so much, Shola. Thank you. Yes, infuse water with what? With cucumber and lemon slices. And you can put in some mint, just so that it'll enter into your cells, because that's when it is useful, not when it is running through you. Which oils? So you can use coconut oil, you can use olive oil. Now, there are 2 types of olive oil, okay? The green olive oil is only for salads and maybe smoothies, okay? The brown olive oil is the one you can cook with. Okay, you can use a bit of palm oil. Palm oil isn't as bad as they say, as long as you're not eating it all the time. And I know we really don't eat it all the time, you know. Yes, no, rapeseed isn't good. Rapeseed oil is a runoff of canola oil, but avocado oil, mustard oil. But you see, all these oils are quite expensive. Okay, but these are the better oils. You know, it's much better, even for the people who eat meat. Ghee and butter isn't so bad. It's not as bad as all the other oils. And I tell you, the oil you're using can stop you from adjusting your weight, because it's difficult for your liver to filter. And so your liver is holding on for dear life. Okay. Somebody said which oils. I've answered which oils. Less stress, yes. But you know, there is a way to be less stressed. You know, the minute you say, I'm not going to be stressed, you can imagine. I can tell you that maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, the internet fluctuating and all of that would have got me almost tearing my hair out. But now, because we do so much on the internet, I'm like, okay, it'll come back. The network will be okay. It'll come back. There's no need to, you know, to stop. And then, yes, somebody put here no snacking. Absolutely no snacking. You can't say that, oh, I just want to have a little thing. I remember a friend, you know, a friend of mine, she was having a sweet, just one sweet. And I said, this sweet. She said, how can this tiny thing be so disastrous? But it's because it'll secrete insulin so quickly that, you know, you have an insulin spike. Once you have an insulin spike, everything else goes south, right? Yes, she's putting here that she lost the target weight 12 kg in 3 months. My story, I myself from 90 to 76. Today I'm better, which is within range. Yeah, still struggling with sleep though, but that's on me. Yes, even I struggle with sleep. But what I do now, which isn't is not the ideal, is that I sleep whenever I can. Fortunately, I'm not doing a 9-to-5 job. So when I'm tired, I sleep, you know, because it's important to be able to sleep. Of course, the best sleep is 10 o'clock, 10:30, because there's something called the circadian rhythm, and we don't want to miss that rhythm. So sleeping 1 o'clock for 8 hours, 1 a.m. for 8 hours is not the same as sleeping 10:30, 11 for 8 hours. There's a difference because of the circadian rhythm. So any other questions? Any other questions? Oh, maybe we're going to be able to finish before 1 hour, because it's
one, please, Olamide.
Yes.
I was looking at snacks and you mentioned nuts, but aren't nuts healthy to snack on?
I didn't mention nuts, so that we should eat nuts.
We shouldn't. You said we shouldn't.
They're not healthy. Now, let me tell you, yeah, they're not healthy because they're omega-6. They're not healthy at all. And the problem is that maybe if you are that person who's disciplined, who can eat 4 or 5 nuts, that's okay. But I don't know who is. Once you pour groundnuts in your hand or cashew or whatever, you're going to keep, cashew even has a lot of sugar, okay? Look, let me tell you, it's even just like fruit, okay? Fruit is the worst thing to eat when you're trying to adjust your weight, because fructose is the most fattening sugar. And when you eat fruits, and some people say, oh, I drink only fresh juice, whether it's fresh or not, okay, it's going straight into your fat cells. It's even worse than, your body metabolizes it better, but it's as bad as white sugar. And so, you know, when you're working with me, for example, I don't allow much fruit at all, because fruits will keep you stuck in that place of you trying to adjust your weight down. So no snacking. On Sundays, when you're doing this, you can say, look, once a week, I'm going to allow myself to eat. But if you've done good work during the week, that once a week. My son used to say to me, please, mommy, don't tell me that it's a free day. Free to do what? Because I'm not about to spoil what I've done the entire week. And I want to assure you that what you feed your body is what it will want. There are many reasons why when you come on my program, you're not craving some certain things, because whatever you feed your body is what your body is going to desire and want. So that's 5 minutes to the time. Just had a bowl of words, of nuts. But mango is in season. I know. I love mango, but I'm not having any for now. I'm even grateful. I tried to have one big mango. It was so disgusting. It wasn't even sweet. So I said, it serves me right. You know, I love a friend of mine who once she had a puff and put it down. I'm like, you're not eating. She said, it's not worth the calories. It's not sweet enough. So, you know, you have to start to look at yourself to say, look, I want to, it's not up. The good thing is that when you wear your skinny jeans, nobody can talk to you. But that's not the main reason. Everybody looks good now. Everybody, doesn't matter the size. I see people, they wear what looks nice on them. They got their lashes, they're looking beautiful. So it's not only because of how we look, we should actually adjust our weight down. It is because we want to live long, a meaningful life. It's not a life where you're a burden to all the people around you. Everybody's, you know, looking out for you and all of that. Not in that kind of way. Everybody should look out for everybody else, but it's not because you're unwell all the time. Okay. So I'm so happy. Thank you so much for coming. I hope this, yes, somebody said I said it. Do you know when I do this thing? I do this thing usually at 10 o'clock because I've left it, because I use a stepper, which is a bit more difficult than just walking, because my mind is like, oh, but at least I'm doing it. So what the 30-day challenge is doing for me is that things that I would have just picked up and tossed in my mouth. Now it's, you know, it takes me second thoughts, you know, take second thoughts. Mangoes, what you can do is you can process your own mangoes. You can freeze them. You know, you can buy them, peel them and freeze them, and then bring them out to eat whenever it is. It doesn't have to be right now. Thank you so much for coming. You know, it's one thing to say people come at such short notice because I didn't say anything about it, but I'm hoping that every Monday we can come and learn something more, because what is wellness? Wellness is, you know, deploying good habits, you know, shedding the bad ones and trying to, you know, imbibe the good habits. And like I've said, please contact me if you need help, and we all need help. But, you know, it's so important for me that everybody is healthy and well. We want to reduce the healing lines in the churches. You know, let us be well. And you know, sometimes you get healed in church, but if you continue to do what got you to the unwellness will come back, and it will not be because Satan is horrible. It'll just be because we haven't paid enough attention. Thank you so much for coming. See you. This is obviously recorded. So if you attended and you want the recording, please message me, because I'm not sending it to everybody. I want people to want in themselves to be healthier. You know, there's nothing like people with, you know, they're carrying weight on their bum, they're carrying weight on their tummy, and they're like, I like myself as I am. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. We like you as you are as well, but we like you too much to leave you the way you are. Thank you so much, ladies. Please contact me if you need any help. Shalom, shalom.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Hopefully see you at 9 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Pastor.
you very much. Good night.
Dr. Lamide. Thank you.
Bless.
Shalom, shalom. And for those meeting at 9, see you at 9 o'clock.
Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor Lamide.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
hearing you as usual.
Thank
Bye.
you. Enjoy the program.
Fantastic. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Okay, then.
Thank you, Pastor Lamide. Come back. See you at 9 o'clock.
By God's grace. By God's grace.
Amen.
Shalom,
Amen.
shalom.
Thank you. sis.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.